Welcome to the show, Mahisha. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So, Mahisha, I watched some of your episodes on the Oprah Winfrey Network for your show that you have on OWN. We actually worked years ago on the launch of the OWN network, so it's near and dear to our heart.
Ah.
Can you talk a little bit about how the show came about and what you do on the show?
Yeah, so actually, I'm not sure how they found me, but I did get a call about helping a show interest from the OWN network about helping other Black women business owners achieve success. And I know that Oprah has definitely a heart for helping those in that space. She did see a need for helping to bridge the gap between Black women who launch businesses and those who become successful. And so
Mhm.
that gap was pretty wide. I mean, we were up, I think Black owned businesses were up 300%, but less than 4% saw the $1 million mark. So
Mhm.
her goal was help again bridge that gap. So I don't know where they saw me, but I got a call that they wanted to interview me, and they didn't think I was real. I don't know why, but so they wanted me to come in. This is pre-COVID, of course. So I, went into a room with about 10 own executives, myself and the producer. So we before the meeting, we actually talked about what the show would look like and put together a reel, of course. But in that meeting, it was really them seeing who I was, if I was real, if I really, truly did what I said I did and had a business and really could have a presence, I think, on a show. So it went really well. And I think
Mhm.
about 9 months later, we started to tape.
Yeah.
And so it was a great experience. So it was all about, again, helping these women in different parts of their entrepreneurial journey get to success. And they all had different challenges, different issues, and all needed different help. But all of them had an issue, common issue, which was the lack of structure, lack of planning,
Mhm.
and also a lack of just really having resources of mentors. So
Yeah.
those were three common things I saw across the board.
Let's take a step back and get to your background for why you're qualified to do this, which is the heart of what you do every day, which is your business, Curls Beauty. Can you talk about this brand is everywhere, right? Your distribution is massive.
Mhm.
Can you
Yes.
talk about what the brand is and how you got started?
Absolutely. I love to do that. My favorite thing to do. So, Curls Beauty Brands was actually birthed 19 years ago this April. Initially in my kitchen, where I was doing my own homemade concoctions, looking to blend products and ingredients and oils and creams for my textured hair. Back then, we didn't have a lot of options for textured hair. The mass market aisle had a lot of options, but for us, we had just the traditional heavy oils, relaxers. I didn't want any of that. So I started to do my research to see what can I bring to the table in the space that was definitely an untapped need. And I was a consumer looking for these products. So I started to do my due diligence. What I
Mm,
always say to my mentees, do your due diligence to see if there was a viable option, opportunity, business that could be sustainable. And there
mhm,
were, I found many other women who were, it was a trend, or not a trend, but a movement rather, a woman with textured hair going back to their natural texture. So from relaxing and straightening, there was a
mhm,
movement back to natural, and there weren't a lot
mhm,
of options for those women. So we
mhm,
came and launched at the cusp of that movement, and I was naturally going natural myself, thus looking for products. So we came in at the right time. I was working at Intel Corporation, a very,
mhm.
very, very drooling, amazing business and company, but it was taxing. It was, you could not put anything on a shelf there. Like, you had to juggle many balls at once. Amazing training ground to be an entrepreneur, hands down,
Mm,
but I couldn't
mhm.
do both at the same time. I tried.
Right, right.
But anyway, I was in Intel, and I realized I didn't really want to do this forever, to market computer chips and processors. It
Mhm.
wasn't my passion.
Right.
And so I decided to find my thing. And when I discovered I was, in a market that was viable, sustainable, let me just launch my own brand. And it
Yeah.
was birthed at Intel Corporation.
Yeah.
When turned on the switch on April 2nd of 2002, and had 8 orders, a switch on the website, had 8 orders. And I was like, yay, I got some orders. And that's how it started.
It's amazing. And so here you are, fast forward 19, you said almost 19 years
In
later, right?
April.
Yeah,
Yes,
in
this April.
April. Tell me how the business has evolved and changed and where all the places that people can find the products.
Well, we've evolved from being 100% e-commerce initially to selling to local stores to a few distributors calling. And then we got a call from Target. Target was looking to revamp their textured category. The buyer then, Linda Sullivan, I owe everything to her. Blonde hair, blue-eyed buyer buying for ethnic hair care. She really
Mhm.
was ahead of her time, though. She really cared about giving the consumer at Target the right assortment. She saw what
Mhm.
she had was not it. So she
Mhm.
really gave us a chance, me and 3 other brands. We were considered underground back then. 105 test run on an end cap to see how we all would do. We all did
Wow.
phenomenally well. And so we went from 100 doors to 3, 6, 900, and then nationwide. And along the
Wow.
way, all the other retailers that I had pitched before that told us no were now calling me. It took that one yes out of 1,000 no's to get that
Mhm.
opportunity. Small test, it blew out the
Mhm.
water, and then grew from there.
Okay. Well, first of all, that's amazing. I love those kinds of stories. And one of the things that you'd mentioned, I really would love if you could talk a little bit more about this, because one of the things that we keep hearing about women in particular
Uh-huh.
is that we don't like to compete as much as men because we get so disappointed when we lose, meaning we get a no, and
Mm.
we don't feel as like we can go back in,
Have
we
the
can
grit.
step us back. How you just said you had that one yes, but you also had 1,000 no's. How do you find the the strength to
Mm.
kind of continue on when you get all of the no's?
That's a great question. And it's not something that you can teach. It really isn't. It is something I talk about all the time. Grit, perseverance, determination. It is not going to Harvard University. It's
Mm.
not being an Intel Corporation employee. It's not coming from a rich family. Those things look good on paper, but they won't help you be successful as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, struggling and clawing your way to the top with no experience, no mentor, no money. It requires grit, perseverance, determination to continue going, to believe in your passion and your purpose.
Yeah.
That's what it takes. You got
Yeah.
to keep going.
Yeah. Well, and that is something that I think, women do struggle, tend to struggle with that confidence to kind of push forward when
Mm.
when they're told no.
Hmm.
So, one of the things that we hear a lot is that think about a small victory you've had and just use that as your source of, okay, I'm going to build on that. It's a small
Yes.
victory. I'm going to get to the next thing. And it's a slow build, but,
Yes.
but having that, and you said it before, you said it's perseverance.
Yes.
That is the thing. It takes time. Things don't, very few people are overnight successes, right?
That is a great point. I was going to say, please, I get that all the time. They see these stories of overnight success stories and they expect
Mhm.
it to happen to them. Overnight success could equal 5 to 7 years or more,
Mhm.
realistically.
Mhm. Mhm.
And some people, and remember, 80% of businesses do not make it past 5 years.
Right.
So go in with it and make sure that you give your business every chance to succeed,
Right.
because the odds are stacked against you, right? So have your plan and have your structure, have, a vision, a purpose, a roadmap, and a marketing vision as well. Let's just not go and launch and think we're going to just, pop off the shelves.
Right. So, talk a little bit, if you can, about the impact that your show had on your business, because you had this show, right,
Yes.
where lots of people got to see you, and
Yes.
you were impressive, I have to say. I mean, a lot of great advice you were giving to the women who you were working with. You clearly have a great presence and are, come across very well. I'm sure that had a halo effect on your business. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think the biggest effect it had, because by the time the show happened, I think we were we were established, right? So we continued to rise, sales did rise. But the biggest impact was the amount of requests I got to mentor. Black Girls Making Millions Academy, Creating Millionaires, one Black girl at a time, was birthed after the show, after all the DMs, the emails, and the calls, because I realized I could not really mentor all those people in one time. It was just impossible. And so this academy was created, and we brought in all these amazing speakers, and we created 3 different sects. So we had the startup, the come up, the blow up. You could register for where you wanted to be. Startup was for like first-time business owners, everything you need to know to get going. The come up, business owners already established, need help growing. And the blow up, people who need to pitch for funding. So we had bankers there. We had the whole gamut. It was amazing. Beautiful California, women from all over the nation came in, and we had workshops, breakout seminars, conferences. We had the whole gamut, and prayer and meditation, and then evening events and comedy shows. It was a 4-day blast. And so amazing. We sold out of tickets in 30 days. I'm sorry, 30 minutes when we went to open up the registration. So that was probably the biggest impact. I was able to create that energy and feedback into my community that needs the most help, because I'm not sure if you're aware of the statistic, but Black businesses they're like 1% will get funding or angel investors and venture capitalists interested in their business. Right. So I wanted to help. And that's why Oprah did the show, for that exact same reason. That's why she had only Black females, not because she was targeting or didn't think of other ethnicities needed help, but that we actually have less opportunities, less access to the information, the resources, the things we need to be successful. And so I created that and helped bring Oprah's vision even further.
You clearly have a commitment to helping other women, kind of hold the door open for them and give them an opportunity. Again, they still have to get it done on their own and put the time in. Right. But really helping these other women move forward. Talk about your mission. What is your mission?
Yes. Well, my mission has evolved. My personal vision, mission, and purpose has evolved. Initially going into this and creating this business, I come from poverty. So very impoverished background, single parent home, was destined to be a statistic given where I came from. That was my destiny. But I chose to stop that generational cycle of poverty. It ended with me. And so my mission at first was to change the legacy, destiny, and life of my offspring and their offspring, right? So I did that. Okay. But after that, I felt like, well, Mahisha, you've done what you wanted to do, but there's more to do now. When you're kind of digging yourself out of a hole, then you get out of that hole, then you go, there's what more than life than just helping my small circle, right? This was my family. And I got, now it's time to help the other, like you said, open the door, each one teach one, go back and pick one up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100 up. And now it's, my vision and mission and purpose is, to whom much is given, much is required. So I have the information, I have the resources, I have the connections. Why not help someone else? So now it is to give back.
Okay. That is, it's incredibly, it says a lot about who you are, and I've heard you talk about this before, this idea of, to whom much is given, much is required. What is that's kind of a way that you now live your life, because you are in this position to help, you are helping.
Yes. And I feel I'm always asked, why are you doing this for free? Why do you do this for free? My husband will ask me, like the other night I was doing the Clubhouse mentoring, and I had a lot of people on the wait list, and I was on for like 2.5 hours, and why are you doing this for free? He's still it because again, why not? If I can do it, why not? Like I was able to make an immediate impact on someone in the beauty space. Several people that either, if you have any products that I can tell you where to go to get manufactured, what your price point should be, who to talk to at Target, when you should be ready to talk to Target, how to present, what the PowerPoint should look like. If I can just give you that information and spend a few hours of my time, I don't know why, it's, I shouldn't, so it really is just a part of, and I believe the way my mother taught me and raised me, she didn't have anything, but she adopted after me. She didn't have enough money, but she had a heart for giving. So I saw that in my household, the way she gave. And so I'm just different that way. I don't know. It's just who I am. And I can't really explain besides the fact that I understand the karmic law that shows as you give, so you sow and reap.
What were you like as a child? Did you always know, were you a entrepreneurial kid? Did you know in your heart somewhere that you would be an entrepreneur?
Actually, I thought I wanted to be an attorney.
Oh.
And that was what I thought for a very long time. But I've always been a very, very, very independent child. Like from the age of first grade on, I really took care of myself. My mother worked 2 jobs. So, it was me. And I knew how to get things done. I prioritized my work and then pleasure. I was in first grade. I just knew how to manage the house and do everything my mom needed me to do. So independent at an early age, but also found ways to make money. Always, from selling candy after school that I would buy at a certain price point and then jack up the price after school and being right and like on the playground, those ready to order. I mean, to buy, making stickers from a printer my mom got and then selling those. I mean, I just always found ways to make extra money. I didn't know I was going to be an entrepreneur though. I just knew that I didn't want to be ever, ever, ever poor again.
So one of the things that you've already mentioned is required to get to a place where you are is grit and determination. Along the way, there are always setbacks, right? Not every day is just, wonderful and goes easily. How do you deal with the setbacks? Because they're inevitably
they're going to happen. Setbacks, failures will happen. And I have to say, I haven't had a lot of them, but when I did have a massive failure, it was heart-wrenching. And what's massive for me is losing distribution of a chain, like a collection that goes wide and deep in every store. That's a massive attack almost on your confidence, but also there's a big financial implication too. If you launch into like retail stores, if they have to delete something off the shelf, oh, that's a massive bill. It can actually put you out of business. So when that happened in 2000, I think it was 19, end of 18, oh my God, that was the most horrific experience. And it was 2 of them back to back because everything that I ever create goes wide because of my sales performance. So if I pitch something to all my partners, they all want it. From Target to CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, Sally Beauty, everyone will take it. And when I had 2 collections that did not resonate quick enough as our stellar number 1 and 2 and 3 lines, it did not stay on the shelves. And I got this massive hit. It was the most horrific time I've ever experienced. So how do you get through that? Well, you allow yourself some time to grieve that process. Because I mean, if you're going to read an article and say, cheer yourself up and keep going, give yourself a moment to really feel it. You have to feel it and then learn from it. Okay. So give yourself a week, I read articles that say 2 days. No, you might need 2 weeks, really, like really seriously. And then from there, just really document what went wrong. What you could have done better. And make it as a lesson, turn into a lesson. So that was hard. That was a hard lesson.
So in terms then so it sounds like, the way you approach a setback is you allow yourself to feel it.
Yes.
And then
you have to.
And then you pick yourself up and you say, okay, how are we going to move forward? And I think one of the things that we hear from women is that they struggle very much with with failure because they don't want to feel it. They don't want to allow themselves to feel like I failed. How do
Yeah.
you think, I know we don't all know, I mean, I'm not afraid of the word failure, but I know a lot of women don't like the word failure. But at the end of the day, there are things that aren't going to go well and they're not going to go the way you think. How do you think about how do you think about how you process something that didn't go the way you wanted it to go?
How do you process it?
Mm-hmm.
I
Because
think
you
I
said
think it's
like you sort of feel it. You allow yourself to kind of
yeah.
feel it, and then I guess
Yeah,
build.
you have to allow yourself to feel, like I said, you have to feel it. You can't try to just, breeze over it. You can't just let it go by or sweep it under the rug. Feel it. And then from there, like I said, understand what went wrong. And then from there,
Mhm.
realize, and this is one of the biggest and most important tips I read. Remember that entrepreneurship is separate from you as a person. Okay.
Mhm.
It's not
Mhm.
you that failed.
Mhm.
It's something that was a struggle, a challenge with
Mhm.
the business. It could
Yeah.
be market based. It could be all kind of factors.
Mhm.
It could be that it's time to shift things and shake things up. But also remember that entrepreneurship, this helped me too, is a game. Think of it like Monopoly. And sometimes you're going to go forward, sometimes you're going to go backwards. But remember that it's all about the game of winning. But sometimes you're going to take some losses. But don't
Mhm.
take it so personally.
Yeah.
Um, that was hard for me to capture and gather and internalize. It was hard. But
Yeah.
I got there
Mhm.
over time.
Yeah. So it sounds like experience and learning, taking on something that didn't go your way and learning how to deal with that and move forward
Yes.
is sort of the way you build. It's like a muscle, right? It's like you almost build that muscle for how do you deal with a failure.
With yes, because one thing can happen if you don't process through it is you will become crippled and handicapped from it. It can be it can really deplete you and
Mm-hmm.
and and then and then prevent you from moving forward. So you have
Yeah.
to make sure you process through it so you can move forward.
So on that front, and you come across as someone who seems very self-aware. You have like kind of an understanding of what drives you. Do you have any daily practices or anything you can share, tips you can share with women for how they can become a little bit more self-aware? Because we do hear from women that they struggle with that.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that quite a bit. And I understand it quite a bit. So I think the self awareness didn't really come from my daily practices, but what I do daily
Mm-hmm.
is do lead my day with prayer. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't pray, meditate. I
Mm-hmm.
also really map out what's important, what has to get done, what success looks like, so that way I can
Mm-hmm.
hit my key, items and feel like I'm moving forward. That's important to feel like I'm moving, like I'm progressing, like I'm achieving. Okay, so that's
Mm-hmm.
important. So I'm checking off those things, right? But what led me to my self awareness is really, honestly, counseling,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the entrepreneurs need life coaches. We need
Yes.
support. We
Yeah.
need therapy. It
Yes.
is so insane to go through the highest highs and the lowest lows and try to balance it all out. It's very this emotional roller coaster. I saw a
Mm-hmm.
meme of how it's like this wiggly line, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
crazy. I'm like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yes.
The line started out like doing all this. That is how it feels. And so
Right.
I think we need, I don't know if there's one out there, but I really would love an entrepreneur support group.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's needed because, but for me, I had my life coach, my
Mm-hmm.
therapist who
Mm-hmm.
enables me to vent, talk
Yeah.
about those things, but also actualize what's really happening. Sometimes we're our worst enemies and the picture we paint seems
Mm-hmm.
dimmer than what it is,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Well, and one of the other things I hear from a lot of other female entrepreneurs, and certainly as a female entrepreneur, I have experienced this too. It can be very lonely, right? When you're part of a big organization, right? You were at Intel. You're part of a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
organization,
Yeah.
and you have all these other people that you can go to and talk to. And when you start, certainly at the beginning, it's you. It's
Yes.
you and your motivation
Yes.
that is really driving the business forward. So
Yes.
can you talk a little bit about that, how you deal with that, how you deal with those moments of
The loneliness. The
yes,
loneliness.
and it's me.
Well, I think for me, the biggest thing isn't the loneliness, rather the pressure of
Mm-hmm.
knowing, because now I have so many people around me. I can't be lonely if I want to. I have 4 kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the feeling of entrepreneurship can feel lonely. But I have a group of friends who are also entrepreneurs, so I can speak
Yeah.
to them. The biggest thing is the pressure I feel. There's an
Mm-hmm.
amazing amount of pressure for me to. I'm providing salaries for so many people, and the pressure to eat. When if I ever think, oh my gosh, everyone is dependent on me.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for me. That
Yes.
pressure is real.
Right. Well, it's a huge sense of responsibility. You
Yes.
you take it seriously, so
Yes.
it's a huge responsibility.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about, your how you are as a leader? What does it mean to you to be a leader? You talked about your team and your sense of responsibility to them.
Yes.
How
Yes.
do you think about leadership?
Well, I actually compare it to motherhood.
Mm,
I'm a
mhm,
mother for 4 distinctly different personalities and needs and
mhm,
desires.
mhm,
And the way I approach, not that my staff are children, I'm saying
mhm,
I have to adapt who I am for these 4 children of mine. I have to
mhm,
be a different person for Kiana than I am for Bryce, for Kennedy than I am for Isabella, my
mhm,
4 children. So for
mhm,
my staff, it's the same.
mhm,
Like, and I feel like I have to bring that different, whatever they need. So if someone, is more of I want public acknowledgement in a staff meeting, or I don't want public acknowledgement. I want to see the title. I want to see a raise. I want to see bonuses. I want to see whatever they want to feel,
mhm,
whatever they need, rather, to
mhm.
feel whole as a Curls team member is what I have to remember for each one of them. So I related to motherhood, and I strive to be a great mother. So I strive to be a good leader.
So, and I'm assuming that you have, women who work, you have quite a few women probably who
Yes.
work within your organization.
Yes.
One of the things that we are hearing from women,
Uh-huh.
I did a study recently, and about 60% of women said that they do not feel that other women are supportive of them. And
Hmm.
looked at it and broke it out by age. We noticed that the younger you were, the more likely you were to feel like you weren't supported by women. It was the older women who felt the most supported, right? And then it went
Hmm.
down over the age. And I'm curious, because you have such a commitment to supporting other women. I'm just curious, and you interact with women all the time in terms of your day-to-day for your business. I'm curious why, your perspective on why maybe women don't feel supported by other women.
That's a great, interesting point and great statistic. I didn't realize that. I thought, I feel, and I've seen, and again, I'm older, that I've seen a circle and a level of engagement and help and resources that kind of surround
Mm-hmm.
each other. But I can see
Mm-hmm.
the younger generation having challenges there. And that's quite sad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I haven't personally seen that as an adult.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
an adult, but I also try to foster that because I have a lot of young women on my staff that I
Mm-hmm.
look to keep relevant and to understand what's hip in the community, but also just because they're talented. But I try to foster that and help them create their own little pockets of support.
Yeah.
A lot of influencers work for us, and they have
Mm-hmm.
side projects, so we're supporting their side projects as they work for Curls, and lifting each other up. So I hope anyone that comes in my circle deads that. That's not the way we should be as women. So I can't speak to it, but I really
Yeah.
hope that we get past it.
Right. Well, and I mean, it's so consistent with, what you've talked about in terms of, who you are, that you are saying, well, this is how I'm going to create an environment where we are supportive of each other.
Yes.
So my approach is going to be, we're supportive. Like that's what we do.
Yes.
That's how we operate.
Yes.
And I
That's the
think
way we should be.
And maybe that's over time how we, that's how we make the change. We
We have to.
create those environments where women feel supported.
We need
What
to.
what of your all of your accomplishments, because you've done so many things, and you talked about your 4 children. I know you have you're married, you have a very full life.
Yes.
Of all of your accomplishments, what are you most proud of?
Wow, that's well, I mean, I always lean first to my children, of course. Because the reason why I'm doing this, and when I had my first child in college and her father left me, I would vow to leave her when I was 6 months pregnant. He left me. I vowed to give her a different life. So I've led with children first, family first. So I'm very proud of that I've actually been able to create a structured, happy home, supportive home. And it's a small thing. It may sound silly, but they don't have to worry about food on the table, head over, roof over their head, college education. They have trust funds. I'm happy about what I've been able to build for them.
Yeah.
And what I've created. I think that's the biggest thing. And it
Right.
seems so small because, like, when I mentioned food, but that was a challenge for us,
Yeah.
So those things, I remember and said I will never allow my children to experience. And I'm glad that I was able to do it. So I'm proud of the family I've built. I'm proud of the life I built for them and our life,
Yeah.
our structure.
Well, I've heard you talk about this before, and you mentioned it, I think earlier in this conversation, the importance of legacy and building that legacy, and how, that's a big, and has been a big driver in your
Yes.
life. So not surprising that, your children, and what you do for them is the thing that you're very proud of.
Yes.
So what is your personal superpower, do you think?
Great question. I think my personal superpower is being able to power through almost anything. Literally almost anything. My background is so insane that the fact that I am where I am today is just unbelievable. I owe it to that background. My grit is owed because I was, it could poverty and dysfunction and all the things I went through can do one or two things for you. Either power you through and give you strength to become something else, or can pull you back and you could become and fall and go under. And so it's one or the other. And me and my brother, same household, same situation, same mother, same environment, total different results. So it totally resonates with me. But yes, I think it's my strength.
Yeah. What is next for you, and what is next for Curls?
Well, let's see, a whole lot. Well, Curls, we're doing a lot with Curls. Like, I have a new division called Beautyceuticals, where beauty and science meet. And so under that new division, which launched last year, we are diving into skincare. So that's why it's a new division, not called Curls, but Beautyceuticals, or Beauty and Science meet. And we have the hardest working collection that we launched last year. .com and Amazon only until we go into Ulta Beauty. It is the first line of products that you can use on skin and hair.
Wow.
Treatment, and we have the most amazing, and every ingredient curated that is actually beneficial for both.
What a novel idea to create a product that you can use both, you said, on your hair as well as on your
skin. Yes.
You don't
And
do that.
I know it's the first, but I'm also doing something that I haven't done before. I always help women, of course, and I do trainings and mentoring, but I did an ebook that's going to be launching in 2 weeks. How to master retail, how to pitch, sell, and excel in retail.
Oh my
Ebook,
God, that's awesome.
for those, so you have the resources there. Yeah.
I love that. And what we'll do, maybe when this episode comes out, we can put a link to that in the description. You said it will be available. The ebook will be available online
in February. Yep.
That's great. So for you personally, anything else that, like, you're looking forward to that's next?
Well, my daughter's getting married next year, so she's going
Congratulations.
over budget, the first one. I'm looking forward to building our lake home and relaxing and going on a month-long vacation. Those are my personal things I'm looking forward to. My daughter's wedding, doing the lake home so I can go retreat and going on a month-long vacation. I'm just excited. I need it. I need to decompress.
Yeah, well, you've done a lot, and you're doing a lot. You've
Yeah.
done a lot, and you continue to do a lot. And
Yes.
thank you so much. You've got so much going on. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. And thanks for being so open and honest with us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. This was really fun. Thank you for having me.